Welcome to the Property Talk. Of course, the Property Talk is the segment on the Property Show where we delve into details of our real estate industry, our real estate market. And if you have questions, anything you want to know about the real estate, or any person you would want to hear from, that's the Property Talk for you. And on set with me is Mr. Vincent Agaba. Mr. Vincent, it's a pleasure having you on set. You've known Mr. Vincent. He's our resident expert when it comes to real estate, but he's also behind the Avat Housing Limited and also a member of Area Uganda, that key body that governs us real estate. Anyone in real estate, if you're not under Area Uganda, I do not know who's governing you, because Area Uganda is that body that brings us all together and that actually makes sure we're focused for better when it comes to Uganda's real estate industry. Mr. Vincent, today, basically, I want us to look at the landlord-tenant bill. It's making news. Some people are still doubting it was even signed, but we are sure it was signed. People are wondering what is in it because no one has taken time to actually break it down. It's unfortunate that the media is not doing that. It's so unfortunate that the news is not actually being of use to, the individuals. And if we do not focus on Uganda's real estate, people forget that real estate is a core of any economy. People think, in Uganda we are blinded by agriculture, thinking our focus has to be on agriculture. We forget that these two go hand in hand. If you do not have infrastructure in place, how are you going to move this produce that you've done? If you do not have infrastructure in place, where are you going to sell this produce from? Or where are you going to grow this produce from if you do not have well-done farms or well-structured land? So yes, that's why I want us to look at the landlord-tenant bill. What is your take on this bill, Mr. Vincent?
Madam Christabel, thank you very much for the invitation once again.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm always happy to be here. And as you rightly say, the preamble is perfect. It's good, spot on. We are dealing with a sector that is really the anchor of economic growth. Second is that I am privileged to be here, and I have always said that it is very important to have rules of the game than having no rules at all. I'll just start by giving an example to actually assert the importance of the landlord-tenant bill. So what we have with the landlord-tenant bill, we are
Is a
having
drunk referee.
rules of the game. We are going to see whether it's a drunk referee or have, or actually it's a sober one. But the point here is we've got rules of the game, we've got linesmen, we've got some referee on the pitch, we've got some goalposts. And I think how the goalposts, whether it's skewed or 90 angle or 45, we can go into that.
For the first time, I've actually understood football.
Thank you. Thank you.
I've understood football. Yes.
So as simple as you said, it is a very important thing today. And maybe for the real estate sector, what I can say, we should be jubilating that at least for the first time we have a
So it's a yes. Your take on the bill is a yes.
We have a targeted law in the real estate sector that actually deals with the sector itself. We've been having, for example, the agency law. The agency law is broad.
Yes.
It goes through car agency or selling anything that you are in middleman. But this one is specific
To real estate.
Yes. So now, second is it good? Is it bad? My view is that if you look at the whole objective of the landlord-tenant bill, it is the regulation of the relationship between the tenant and the landlord. Now, we've been using tenants agreements to do that. And what actually the Act does itself, it emphasizes the role of the tenants agreement in managing the landlord and tenant relationship. It only says that actually only the rent which is below 25 currency points, you may have a verbal tenants
agreement.
Which is another thing, but I always believe that something written is far better.
Far better than verbal.
So the issue of below 25 currency points, it's actually even very low. So if you can translate 25 currency points, most of the tenants don't fall into that.
Don't fall into it, yes.
So blankets everyone to have a
formal agreement, yes.
Now, the other question would be, who is the winner?
Yes, that's the question. You actually got the question away from me. Who is the winner? Is it the tenant or the landlord? Because now that's the biggest conversation on ground, whereby most people are wondering, who did this thing favor? Who actually endorsed this bill? Who was it? Was it the landlord that pushed for it? Was it the tenant that pushed for it? So yes, that's what I want to know. Who is the winner in the bill?
Mr. Bill has been around for long. I know
Yes.
you, and I think you know how much we went through to get this.
I know how much
around
area
it.
fought, him being at the
It was
forefront of it
It was
all.
in the evening, it was
Yes.
in the morning, we went through it, we gave our input as a sector.
At some point, we actually thought, no, this is not going to pass. This is one of those bills that is going to enter parliament and just die away. Yes.
But the point here is that it was needed, because one of the points is that we thought that the tenants So tenancy agreements were being designed and drafted by different people.
By different, according to what your pleasures are, what your
Exactly,
needs
you
are.
agree, you put in
Yes.
and so forth. But now the Act itself provides a schedule
Really?
of a draft tenancy agreement.
Okay.
So it means me and you today, we cannot struggle to draft a tenancy agreement.
Mm.
We can go to that schedule within the Act and pick that.
So let me ask,
and use it.
for example, for someone out there watching
Yeah.
who is about to take on a new rental or buy a new property, and your landlord actually has already an agreement in place for you, are you able to look at this tenant bill and say, okay, some of the things that are in this bill are not stipulated in here, and I need them to be stipulated in my agreement?
Exactly. It is there, and actually we should share it around. And I think
Yeah,
the
it should be
ministry-
shared around. The
Yes,
ministry should share it around. I think the media should pick it up and let the audience know out there what it is.
Exactly. But what has happened in the media is that, of course, there you have seen people pulling out some.
Yeah, we
coupons.
have just pulled out extracts of
and
it.
usually
Yes.
it's like the landlord and the tenant that
It seems as a woe. It feels like this bill is not here to bring us together or here to help, or yet it has been brought out like a woe.
no. I can tell you it is a give and take.
Mm.
If you see some articles which they say, for example, the landlord, if I can refer to it here, the issues, for example, repairs and maintenance. Urgent repairs, it gives the powers or some precedents that the tenant, if, for example, there are issues to do with leakages, for example, electric short circuit, things like, for example, manholes flooding and all that kind of stuff. Instead of a tenant waiting for the landlord to suffer during that process, the tenant can go ahead and fix and actually claim back the money from the landlord. That is a win.
That is a win for the tenant, yes. And that takes me to the issue that I wanted to also talk about, whereby the media has made it look like the tenant is the one winning from this act and not the landlord. It feels like this agreement was only tailor-made for the tenant, forgetting the landlord, forgetting the owner of the property, the proprietor of the property. Is this true?
No, so it isn't. So, for example, what I've just said, that's the tenant win.
Yes, that's a tenant win.
Because we have had situations when we manage properties for years, people complain that actually landlords do not repair things in time. Now here you are.
I'd like to hear a win for the landlord.
The landlord, for example, we've been suffering, or landlords have been suffering on the issues to do with people refusing to pay rent or delaying to pay rent, and the landlord says, get out of the house, they refuse to leave. Now here the act also comes out and says, you know what, within 30 days, if you have not paid rent, and the landlord has reminded you several times, after 30 days, they can, with the LOC one chairperson and the police, re-enter the house, actually get their house and put it back on the market.
Okay.
Before, there was issues of eviction. You would have to go to the police, you would have to go to the LOC one, then you would have to go to court. So that's a win also for the landlord. you see. So it makes sure that the relationship between the two people live in harmony. And I can assure you, Christabel, if we read this thing out and go through it by bit, I think the relationship will live in it. So you can see the two wins there. Then, of course, it brings other things to do with, for example, being a nuisance.
Yes, yes.
Being a nuisance, it's talking about, for example, if I rent an apartment, and then my colleagues are also renting in the same building, and they play music high volume.
High volume, yes. That is a problem.
Now, who do want that to happen? And here it says if you become a nuisance, the landlord can actually say, look, you are
Bucket
disturbing
my
other
property.
people, and that's okay.
That has been a very, very big problem for tenants
And
and
happens
even landlords
In
themselves.
my experience of property management,
Yes.
I mean, you hear a call from another tenant, I can't sleep because the neighbor is happy.
I like how you put it. I can't sleep because the neighbor is happy.
So your happiness really has to be
Is
within
affecting
proportion.
someone
Yes,
else.
Exactly. So here it says that's probably nuisance. And I think that's good enough. So you can see here and there are all those kind of things. But in the principle here, if you go down, it really emphasizes the tenant agreement. It also says that all these things we agree on, let us put them
In an agreement, in writing. Yes.
And in agreement,
Let them be
there is
binding.
a reference.
Yes.
So today, in this time, after this act, if you sleep in a house and you don't have a tenant agreement,
Yes.
please don't blame anyone.
Anyone
if
for
you have
it.
issues that you can't agree on. The other one, there was the issues of, which I wanted to pinpoint here. Duty to keep premises in good repair. I can assure you I have seen issues whereby tenants enter into a very beautiful apartment. Nice. So, all of a sudden, because we like the way to live, the way we live, someone starts pulling charcoal along the
And the fact that it's not your property, so you do not have that caution to,
Exactly.
take extra care.
A shower or the sink starts leaking, just don't report it until the whole kitchen cabinet
Floods.
And I mean, these are things we've been really discussing without any guidelines.
Yes.
But now at least they are putting guidelines.
Guidelines.
Yes. So you can see here now it protects the premises, but also protects the tenant, because when you are living in a very damp place with dampness and water and all that stuff, I don't think that's
It's also health. It also brings a bit health
Yes.
concerns and health
So
issues. Yes.
somehow it protects the landlord, but also helps the
Tenant.
in a way
Yes.
that your health should be put into
Put
precaution.
into precaution.
So
Yes.
you can go through these things and you see that actually.
So this bill is not actually favoring one side. It's both sides. Both sides are a win and take.
Exactly, and what we need to do is to read.
Yes.
Yes, and also not follow the headlines in the news.
Yes.
Because in the news headlines,
The headlines have not done it any good. Yes.
no, I mean, you need to shock the public in order to pick the up, which is okay for media. I think it's important.
We
Yes.
call it clickbait.
Now you see
Yes.
the technical person is in
We
place.
call
now.
it clickbait. So that, you
Exactly.
read that headline and you're like, I have to click on this. I have to see it. Or you're driving by the road and then you see that headline on the newspaper and you're like, I have to buy that paper. I like that this is not biased. It's actually out of sheer concern to know that we are pushing our real estate industry forward in the right way.
Exactly.
Yes.